I remember when I first saw you play at Lux, it was not even that clear that you were a really good guitar player, because you were, at that time, you were doing, everything was really distorted and sort of reverbed out with your amp. You were kind of in that, you were going through that phase of like, you were playing everything. It was kind of like, so what we hear from the audience perspective was just this really messy, distorted stuff that didn't sound like there was a lot of time signatures happening, but sort of random. And then but you couldn't clearly hear what you were doing. So it was hard to tell. It was like, is he really good, or is he just kind of like, am I just sort of, you know what I mean? Like I wanted to, and it wasn't until I think it probably wasn't until I heard you play a song just acoustically.
Right.
That I was like, oh man, Paul's a killer guitar player.
I was relaying this story to Gary, my friend who's setting up this next tour. I was relaying this story to him about the song project. And when I first started going there, I was doing a lot of that stuff.
Right.
And I was like, it was a miscalculation, because like I was trying to stretch and see how far we could really stretch music before it became like it would either become unlistenable or we would stretch our ears to the point where we had some kind of of point where we go, oh, now I can hear more things.
It's gelling,
and so the miscalculation that I made was that there would be people in the room who would tolerate that.
Right.
I knew that people would not tolerate that at a regular open mic.
Right.
Or even at a gig.
Right.
Coffee shop gig. And that was in that 2-year time period where when I get up to play, everybody would get up and walk out.
Yeah.
And it's like,
that was an unfortunate.
And it's like this. It occurred to me at some point, it's like this. Like everyone in this room thinks that this is the only thing I do.
Right.
Because like nobody had been to see me at a coffee shop gig.
Right.
I'm like, they think this is all I do.
Right.
They don't think I do anything.
Right.
So
We did think
it's
that.
like I'm really like, and I don't know if I just didn't make that clear. I'm like, no, I'm really trying to stretch everybody's ears and see how much I can get away with.
Right.
And I knew I couldn't do that in a room that wasn't full of musicians, but I was hoping I could do it in a room that was full of musicians, and it turned out I couldn't.
Right.
Because the musicians weren't there for that. They were They were there to do something else.
Right. Well, I think also they're like, okay, so if you have like, if this width of the table represents sort of this breadth of sonic palette or whatever it is, and you were like out here, to like, hey, let's get to the edge, right, and look over and see what's there and maybe push it farther out. But there was no reference point. You know what I mean? Like if you came in here and you were like la 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 la, and then you were like bleep blop bloop blop blop. You know what I mean? Like then you're like
back in.
Then you're like this journey that people could take with you.
Right.
But when you
jump
in the door, here you are. Everyone's like,
let's
do with this dude. What's this dude doing?
Yeah. But I remember when I finally like just dragged the acoustic in there, and like I had told Barb at that point, like there was this part of me that's like, I'm going to drag this acoustic guitar in there, and I'm going to play it for them so that we can put aside this idea that I can't do what they're doing. Right. Like now that we've all seen that I can do what you're doing.
Right.
Can I get back with the business of doing weird shit? And
right.
And the answer was still no.
Sadly.
They're all like, well, now that we've heard you do this, can we just hear you do more of this? It's like, oh, geez,
yeah.
fine. Okay, I mean, yes, but